Yeah, he used to run with my brother.
I was hoping you understand it's family. Maybe we could work something out.
This ain't your world anymore, man. Think that's funny? That ain't... You got bills? Shut the fuck up. Don't... Run, Eddie! Pull the fucking trigger!
Chris Farraday, a former smuggler, has left his criminal past behind to lead a quiet life in New Orleans with his wife Kate and their 2 young sons, working as a home security installer. Their calm world is shaken when they discover that Kate's brother, Andy, was caught trying to smuggle drugs on a cargo ship. During a surprise inspection by U.S. Customs, Andy was forced to dump the drugs into the sea. This angers Andy's boss, a dangerous gangster named Tim Briggs, who demands financial compensation for the lost drugs.
I'm sorry.
Chris steps in to help, and Briggs warns him that if Andy doesn't come up with $700,000 within 2 weeks, Chris's family will suffer. With few options, Chris decides to return to smuggling. He joins a cargo ship, one his father Bud, now incarcerated, once used to smuggle, with a plan to acquire $10 million in counterfeit cash from Panama and sneak it into the U.S., aided by Andy and an old associate, Danny Raymer. While Chris is away, Briggs and his goons invade Chris's home, terrifying Kate and the kids. When one of the boys tries to defend the family, a gun goes off and strikes the wall, prompting the criminals to flee. Chris then asks his best friend, Sebastian Abney, to watch over Kate and the children. Meanwhile, the ship's chief engineer buys Chris more time by disabling the pitch propeller, causing suspicion from the captain, Camp. When the counterfeit cash turns out to be worthless due to incorrect paper, Chris seeks help from a feared Panamanian criminal named Gonzalo. But things take a darker turn. Briggs pressures Andy to use the counterfeit money to purchase cocaine, threatening the life of his nephew if he refuses. Andy takes the money and flees, angering Gonzalo, who forces Chris and Danny into participating in a violent armored truck robbery. During the heist, their van is rammed and shot up. Most of Gonzalo's gang is killed in a shootout with the police, but Chris and Danny escape with a surviving criminal, a cache of fake bills, and a valuable Jackson Pollock painting. Back in New Orleans, Sebastian, desperate to pay off a debt to a Scottish gangster named Jim Church, conspires with Briggs to get the drugs Chris is smuggling. When Chris calls to say he might dispose of the drugs, Sebastian tips off Briggs, who assaults Kate again and demands she tell Chris to finish the job. Sebastian fakes a rescue of Kate and insists she and the kids ride with him, but Kate senses something is off and drives away.
Get in the truck!
At a container yard in Panama, a ship worker helps Chris smuggle the contraband van onto the vessel. After bribing a supervisor to delay certain containers, they gain enough time to make it aboard. Chris confronts Andy for spending the money, who explains Briggs's threats against Chris's son. Kate informs Chris of Briggs's attack and his suspicious knowledge of their plan, leading Chris to suspect betrayal. While Andy insists he wasn't the leak, Chris realizes it was Sebastian. Chris then threatens Sebastian. Kate, tired of being monitored, goes to Sebastian's apartment for personal items, but he drunkenly tries to assault her. She locks herself in the bathroom, but Sebastian breaks in, injuring her badly when she hits her head. Thinking she's dead, he wraps her in plastic and dumps her body in a hole at his construction site, planning to cover it with concrete. After leaving Panama, Sebastian contacts Captain Camp, offering him a share of the drugs if he stops Chris from dumping them. The captain agrees and notifies Customs of the smuggling. Aware of the captain's germophobia, Chris hides the drugs inside the water tank of his portable carpet cleaner. Customs boards the ship but can't find anything. After the ship docks, Briggs kidnaps Andy. Chris crafts a plan to implicate Camp in the smuggling. Camp unknowingly drives home with the drugs hidden in his cleaner. Chris meets Briggs and saves Andy by attacking and overpowering Briggs. He takes him to Camp's home, where he retrieves the drugs and sets off the alarm. While Briggs samples the drugs inside, Chris escapes in Camp's car. The police, responding to the alarm, arrest Camp, Briggs, and his crew. Chris then rushes to the construction site, beats Sebastian until he reveals where Kate is, and finds her barely alive before she's buried in concrete. She's hospitalized, and Sebastian is jailed, where he's confronted by Bud and other inmates. Meanwhile, Andy and the ship worker retrieve the counterfeit bills Chris had tossed into the ocean. At a customs auction, Andy buys the van used in the escape. Chris meets with Church, negotiating $3 million for the fake bills instead of the offered $2.5 million. Church inquires about a stolen Jackson Pollock, noting it's worth over $140 million. After the meeting, Chris and Andy open the van and discover the painting, which customs had mistaken for a tarp. Chris tells his team it's valued at over $20 million on the black market.